Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at an article in Screen Rant about Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek spin off slash prequel. But also, I'd like to make some personal comments about it because I've watched the first episode now and I feel, having given it a day or two to digest, that I can give some insight, I think, into where I see the issues that I'm having with it. Anyway, put it that way. So I'll get straight down. We'll come down here. I'll get in and have a look at this article first, and then we'll discuss the article and I'll discuss why I think it's problematic. Anyway, here we go. So here's the article. Let's say it's Screen Rant, and they're saying that Strange New Worlds fixes a modern Star Trek problem. Well, not that modern, because it opens up some very, very old problems, but we'll have a look. The structure of Star Trek Strange New Worlds identifies a continual structural problem with modern Star Trek shows and provides a solution. Well, any solution that involves fake rubbishy Spock isn't really a solution, and that's fake rubbishy Spock on the right. He was the one that went all emotional, just in exactly the same way that Vulcans don't. Anyway, Star Trek Strange New Worlds identifies a continual structural problem with the modern Star Trek shows and fixes it. While Strange New Worlds is technically a spin-off from Star Trek Discovery, it also serves as a direct prequel to Star Trek the original series, by focusing on the pre-Kirk lives of the Enterprise crew, captained by Christopher Pike, Anson Mount. The Enterprise continues its 5-year mission to seek out new life and new civilizations. In Episode 1, the crew of the Enterprise is dispatched to intervene in a first contact scenario that has gone badly wrong. And I can tell from this is part of the review, as soon as it came up and you noticed that there was all these humanoids, you didn't see their faces. It was very deliberate from the direction that you weren't seeing their faces, but they were talking about, oh look, what's this? There's a new spaceship in the sky. Oh, is it aliens? They were talking like that. But the continual obvious use of the fact that you weren't seeing any faces, my first thought was, oh, they're the aliens and it'll be the Enterprise. Turned out it wasn't the Enterprise, but it was a ship very similar to the Enterprise, but they were indeed aliens. It's like saying, hey, I'm not a very good writer and I'm not a very good director, but I'm going to write and direct this in such a way that you'll never guess. Oh, guessed immediately, because they are very poor. Anyway, in order to rescue his number one, I had a number one earlier, Rebecca Romijn, who I thought was actually quite good in Maxwell and King. Pike, Spock, and Laan Noonien Singh must go undercover to infiltrate Kylie 279. They rescue number one and her colleagues, but Pike stays behind to negotiate peace between the planet's two warring factions to atone for a past mistake. It's classic Star Trek setup and feels appropriate for the original series' vibe the series is aiming for. It also fixes a recurring issue with the modern Star Trek shows. Right, let me stop there again and say, if it's setting everything up for the original series vibe, it needs to do something about, I don't know, the look of the Enterprise, the look of the show, the colour schemes, the sounds, the actions that various things do. You have the communicators. Well, they haven't sorted out those sounds. I want the same sounds as Kirk's communicators, not some, oh, we'll just make it like very similar but not the same and it does different things. It's almost as though they haven't done their research. It's almost as though they don't give a care in the world about the programme. Shit. But who am I to say? While the cause of Kylie 279's pursuit of an ultimate weapon is tied into an overarching Discovery plotline, which was one of the rubbish plot lines, but I can't think of any plot line in Discovery that wasn't rubbish. The season premiere of Strange New Worlds is refreshingly self-contained. By the end of the episode, the situation on Kylie 279 has been resolved, and Starfleet's issues with how Pike and his crew solved it have been smoothed out. Meanwhile, occasional two-parters aside, this has generally been the structure of Star Trek since it first aired in 1966. They have generally been standalone episodes, very few to be continueds, which is okay. I mean, you can have. I know they famously did it with season endings, to be continued, but that's only to snatch you back into the following season. But generally not. Anyway, in recent years, however, Star Trek has often learned the wrong lessons from the age of prestige television drama. Both Discovery and Star Trek Picard spend their whole season stretching decent plots across 10 hours until the plot threads begin to fray. Yeah, you can only write a good story that covers 2.5 to 3 hours. This is a standard thing. It's the course of this is why plays only last sort of 2.5 to 3 hours. Beyond that, you can't put enough on there. So the secret is, if you're writing, say, a 10 episode series, and you want a story to arc across all 10 episodes, that's fine. But what you have to have is several story arcs. One that is the arc over 1 or 2 set episodes, one that arcs over 3 or 4 episodes, and a second one that arcs over 3 and 4 episodes, and a third one that arcs over 3 or 4 episodes. But you run them intermingling, so you don't go 4 and then 4 and then 4. You go 4 story arc, but like on episode 2 of that 4 story arc, you start a 3 story arc and things like that. And then you can drop in your full 10 story arc, but you do it very, very piecemeal, teasing, sometimes not even mentioning it, maybe just having one tiny on-screen thing that nobody ever refers to, but it's there. So when you look back at it, you go, you see it. It's very hard, and it takes a great, talented writer. Unfortunately, they don't have any, but whatever. The lowering of the dramatic stakes feels incredibly refreshing after Discovery's galaxy-ending portent and Picard's nightmarish changes to the timeline. Both Discovery and Picard were rubbish. This was slightly better, but only because of Anson Mount and Una, really. I think number 1 was alright. Anson Mount was excellent. But when you look at other things, you realise, oh God, no. But we'll come to that. It restores a focus on exploration and a sense of fun and adventure, which has been present in recent animated series like Star Trek Lower Treks, because that was suck. But it's been largely absent from the live action series. Exploration and adventure was always key to Star Trek from its 1960s inception, and it finds a charismatic spokesperson in the form of Anson Mount's Christopher Pike. And he does. I do like him. I think if he was anything else, I'd watch him. He's a fine actor, and he does give the character depth, which is nice. And it's nice that at least one of them can do that. How Pike balances his responsibilities as Enterprise captain looks to be the true story arc of Strange New Worlds, and it's a more personal, engaging storyline than yet another gargantuan threat to the future. It's just one example of the show's new firm grip on its characters' individuality. Without the galaxy falling down around their ears, Strange New World gives audiences time to get to know non-bridge crew characters like Nurse Chapel, Jess Bush, and looks to shed new light on James T. Kirk's brother, Samuel Dean Jeannotte. After 4 seasons of Discovery, 4 too many, it's still sometimes difficult to remember who's who outside of Michael Burnham and Saru. Well, it was the Michael Burnham show, and Saru was, well, he was a good actor, but he was a weak character. But they were the only 2. Other than that, you had the smiling black man, you had the ginger fat girl, you had the angry gay doctor, you had the Cyberman, the lesbian. No, that was about it. Couldn't tell you the names. I watched all 4 seasons. Couldn't tell you the names. That's how memorable they are. It's easy to say that the characters of Strange New World are already familiar by virtue of being in the original Enterprise crew. However, the majority of these characters appeared in either unaired pilots or in a handful of episodes, or in the case of one of them, in what would have been Phase 2, which was the animated series. in which time he was a white, silver-haired man, and is now a black man because 2022, yo. It's though Star Trek Strange New Worlds focus on Star Trek characters over epic scale storytelling that will breathe new life into both the classic series and Star Trek itself. No, it won't. No, it won't. And I'll tell you why. Pike had to be there because it was the timeline of Pike. So Pike was there. He had to be. So you've got Pike, a man. And Pike's number one was Spock. So you've got Spock. By dint of actually, you couldn't not have them. They were forced on, they were shoehorned, they had to be there, and it must have annoyed them. But they've made up for it. Because when you walk onto the deck, every single other person is a woman. Every single one. Oh, and his number one who they go to rescue is a woman. Oh, and the leader of one of the sides in the war is a woman. Ah, dearie me. There's a theme going on. But not worried, then all the women aren't the same. You do have the shaven-headed lesbian. You do have the soft, nursey one with the soft, white, blonde hair. The caring one. Uhura actually wasn't a bad character. Yeah, I can see that. Uhura works. Obviously, it's not Nichelle Nichols. But Nichelle Nichols is as old as the hills, and I'm sure still lovely. But yeah, you got that. But you know, Noonien Singh's granddaughter had to be his granddaughter, could be his son. You know, and Noonien Singh's granddaughter or / grandson was never there in the original series. All freshly invented because agenda. So where they've race swapped, they've race swapped wherever they could. They've gender swapped wherever they could. It must really annoy them that they've got two white guys as Captain and Mr. Spock there. They must hate that. They must hate that. They've done as much as they can to do everything else, but they're still running off the back of Discovery, and so the stories are weak. And how long before Pike is now sidelined and becomes only a guest star in his own series, and number one will run everything? It's how it's going to be, isn't it? Because ladies are the bestest ever. Don't get me wrong, I like ladies. But you can't run a starship with only ladies. There's got to be some men there. It's 22nd, it's 23rd. It's the 24th century. Never mind. I shall come up and round off. Yeah, I mean, having watched it, I didn't think it entirely sucked. I thought there was some good things, but there was an awful lot that wasn't good. That said, it is only the pilot. People bed in. I will give it a chance. I'm going to give it a fair shot. I will watch it until a point comes and I can't watch it. Or I'll watch it until the end because it'll be good. I don't know. But I am nothing if not fair. I just felt it was a bit weak for the story. I felt the direction at the beginning was just a bit too slapdash. It treated the audience with contempt. It sort of said, oh, look, we're going to treat the audience like this. So the audience aren't stupid. They knew straight away. And then there's the obvious wokery of, let's race swap everyone we can. Let's gender swap everyone we can. Let's have an all-female bridge crew, with the exception of the two men that we've got no option but to have. But we shall see in the future and see how it turns out. Anyway, I'll leave that there. If you like what you hear and see on the channel, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell for notifications of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, and until next time, live long and prosper.